All right, today we're going to dive into this ancient, really dramatic story from the Lotus Sutra. It's called the Parable of the Good Physician. And trust me, it's going to make us grapple with a pretty big question about truth, lies, and compassion. One that feels just as urgent now as it did centuries ago. I mean, just listen to that. Fools that we are, we mistakenly drank poison. Please cure us and save our lives. Can you imagine hearing your own kids say that? It's just a moment of pure crisis, right? And it really sets the stage for what is a truly impossible choice. Okay, so let's jump right into the parable itself. The story is all about this incredibly wise and skilled physician who has, get this, a huge family. We're talking 10, 20, maybe even 100 children. So the setup is this. The physician is away on business, and while he's gone, his kids accidentally drink this really potent poison. When he gets back, it's a nightmare. He finds them rolling on the ground in agony, some of them completely out of their minds. But, he's an expert, so he immediately gets to work and whips up this perfect antidote, a medicine that looks good, smells good, tastes good, the whole package. It's guaranteed to work. But here's where things get complicated. Some of the kids, the ones who aren't totally out of it yet, they see how good the medicine is, and they take it right away. Boom, cured, no problem. But the others, oh man. The poison has so twisted their minds that even though they're thrilled to see their dad and are begging him for help, they just refuse to take the medicine. They can't see that it's the very thing that will save them. So you can imagine, the father is just devastated. He knows he's got to try something else, a different approach. The text calls this a skillful means, basically a clever strategy. So he says to them, listen, I'm old, I'm not going to be around forever, I'm leaving this incredible medicine here for you. And then he leaves, goes to another country, and sends a messenger back with a bombshell announcement. Your father is dead. Wow. The shock of that news, that they're now orphans with nobody left to look after them, it's like it snaps them out of their delirium. Their minds finally clear up, and in that moment of grief, they look at the medicine their father left behind and suddenly understand its real value. They take it, and every single one of them is cured. And that brings us to the absolute heart of this whole thing. The question this story itself asks is, was he guilty of lying? I mean, he faked his own death to save his kids. So was it wrong? Well, according to the text, the answer is a clear and resounding no. Okay, so if the father's lie wasn't wrong, what's the real point of this story? Well, now we get to unpack the analogy, because this isn't just a story, it's actually a pretty profound statement about the path to enlightenment. This is where the Buddha just comes out and says it. He is the physician. And he explains that, just like that father faking his death, he sometimes talks about his own passing, his final nirvana, not as something that's literally happening, but as one of those skillful means. It's a strategic move, a kind of shock to the system, meant to wake people up from their complacency, so they'll finally go look for the cure themselves. So to really get this, we've got to decode the symbols, right? Because pretty much every single piece of this story stands for something much bigger. So the children, that's us, that's all of us, every living being who, according to this teaching, has an inherent Buddha nature. The poison? Well, that's a metaphor for all the false ideas and messed up views that twist our perception of reality and lead to suffering. And the medicine, of course, is the true teaching, the dharma, that can set us free. You know that state the delirious kids were in? There's actually a specific term for it. Tendo. It literally means topsy-turvy or inverted. It describes a mind that's so confused it gets everything backwards, thinking suffering is pleasure or that things that are temporary will last forever. That's basically the effect of the poison. Okay, so if the poison is a deluded mind, then what exactly is this good medicine? Well, like any great symbol, it's not just one thing. It's got layers, and people have come up with some really fascinating interpretations over the years. So the great Buddhist master, Tian Tai, he saw it in two different ways. On one hand, he said the medicine's properties, its color, its scent, its taste, stand for the core Buddhist training, morality, concentration, and wisdom. But then, on a much deeper level, he said they represent the ultimate virtues of a Buddha: perfect wisdom, total liberation, and the very fabric of enlightened reality itself. But then you've got Nichiren, a Japanese master from the 13th century who had an even more specific take. For him, the medicine was literally the title of the Lotus Sutra, Myoho Renge Kyo. He believed that chanting those words was the ultimate cure because they contain the essence of everything the Buddha taught. Now, to really show just how skilled this father is, Tiantai actually came up with this really cool hierarchy. He outlined 10 different kinds of physicians, which are basically metaphors for 10 different levels of spiritual teachers, ranging from the totally harmful all the way up to the sublime. So this ranking really covers the whole spectrum. At the very bottom, you've got the quacks. These are the false teachers who actually make you worse. As you move up, you get to folks who can help a little, but maybe not completely. Then you get to the real specialists, like bodhisattvas, who can treat fatal illnesses, but maybe not all at once. And right at the very top, you have the true masters, the ones who can cure everything and even make you healthier than you were to begin with. But here's the kicker. The whole point Tiantai is making is that the physician in our story, Shakyamuni Buddha himself, is actually off the charts. His skill and his compassion go way beyond even that 10th, most masterful type of healer. He's in a league of his own. Okay, so let's tie all of this together. What's the big takeaway from this really powerful and, let's be honest, kinda unsettling story? Really, it all boils down to one thing: compassion. The father's lie wasn't about deceiving his kids for a bad reason. It was a compassionate strategy, a tool he used to break through their delusion and save their lives. You know, it's kind of like a principle you see in therapy or even parenting sometimes, a well-timed intervention that's designed to help people finally help themselves. And that's the ultimate goal, right? The physician's death forced his children to stand on their own 2 feet. They had to stop waiting for him to save them and take responsibility for their own cure. It lines up perfectly with one of the Buddha's most famous last teachings. Be an island unto yourself. Don't look for a savior outside of you. The refuge, the medicine, it's already within you. You just have to take it. So that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. This whole story really messes with our simple ideas of right and wrong, doesn't it? It suggests that maybe the morality of an action isn't just about the action itself, but about the intention behind it and where it leads. So if a lie told with absolute compassion can lead someone to the ultimate truth, what is that lie really?